I sit at the edge of the table, the same table I've always used, staring at the wrapper in front of me. The air is quiet, but not empty. It holds the faint smell of fried food, the faint hum of the neon lights outside my window. My hands hover over the plastic tray, hovering as if touching it could make it disappear. But it does not. It is always there. I can hear the faint tapping of a clock on the wall behind me, steady, mechanical. Each tick resonates a little too sharply in the room, as if mocking my indecision. I pick up the fries, warm and a little greasy, and the scent immediately triggers a small wave of nausea. My stomach clenches, reminds me that I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. But I don't stop. I think about yesterday, about the day before, how I ordered more than I needed, how I watched the tray grow heavier, yet I kept my hand reaching. Each bite is automatic. My mind whispers, "Stop. You don't need this," but my fingers move anyway. They know a rhythm I no longer control. The light shifts slightly as a car passes outside, the neon signs flickering a shade too bright, reflecting on the glass. Shadows stretch across the room, thin and slow, creeping along the walls. I notice the way the wrapper feels under my fingertips, slightly crumpled, familiar. The texture is almost comforting, in a strange way, even though I shouldn't feel comfort here. I hear my own breath, slow, uneven, a faint sound like it's echoing just behind my ears. I take a bite. The taste is exact. It is always the same. There is nothing new in it. And still I chew. Still I swallow. I wonder, not for the first time, when it became like this. When I started feeling this pull, the compulsion that isn't hunger, that isn't choice. Was it the first extra order I made that changed me? Was it the second or the 10th? The tray before me is light compared to yesterday, but it doesn't matter. My hands still move as if someone else is directing them. I glance at the window. The street is nearly empty, just a few cars, a distant siren far away. But the light from the McDonald's across the street never wavers. It stays on bright, constant. Almost too bright. I feel the glow pressing through my eyelids, a subtle insistence, a quiet demand. I am alone, but the lights are awake, watching, waiting. I reach for the soda, the cup sweating, condensation running down my fingers. The fizz hisses softly as I lift it, a small reminder that things are moving, that life continues outside this small, repetitive ritual. I know it should be enough. I should push it away. I should stand up, leave it, stop. But my hand hovers, and the pull is already too strong. I am not deciding anymore. I am following. The chair creaks as I shift, the sound too loud in the stillness. I hear my own heartbeat in the quiet after the creak, slow and insistent. The taste of fries lingers in my mouth, salty and familiar. I feel it, even though I don't need it, even though my stomach wants to reject it. I look down at the tray again. The edges are crumpled from my fingers, but the contents remain the same. Nothing changes, yet I feel compelled to continue. And in that compulsion, in that quiet, I understand something without words. Once I started, there was no going back. Each order, each bite, each repetition, it matters. It carries weight, even when I feel sick, even when I know I shouldn't. I hear it again, a soft sound from the corner of the room, almost like a wrapper brushing against the floor. I freeze mid-bite. My hand hovers over the tray, a fry poised just above the cup of soda. I listen. The sound is gone. Only the faint hum of the refrigerator remains. I tell myself it's nothing, that it's just the building settling, that my imagination is stretched thin from too many late-night meals, too many hours spent in this quiet ritual. Yet the unease lingers, curling in the pit of my stomach, mingling with the nausea I already feel from eating too much. I glance at the window. The street outside is still mostly empty, but the glow from the McDonald's across the way seems sharper now, harsher. It throws long, thin shadows across the kitchen floor, and for a moment, I swear one of them moved differently than the rest. Just a flicker. Just a hesitation. I pick up the tray again, gripping it tighter than I normally would. My fingers press into the paper lining, feeling every crease, every edge. It's a familiar texture, almost comforting, but today it feels different. Unnatural. Insistent. Like it's reminding me I'm alone, yet not really. The soda fizzes again as I lift it to my mouth. The sound is louder this time, sharper, like it's cutting through the room. I sip, and the cold liquid slides down my throat, soothing at first, then bringing a faint twist of discomfort. My stomach gurgles, a warning, and yet I reach for another fry. One more. It won't hurt. I tell myself that, but the thought doesn't settle. I hear a faint knock at the door. Not hard, just enough to make me pause. I freeze, spoon halfway to my mouth. The knock comes again, soft, slow, patient. I tell myself it's nothing. Nobody would knock at this hour. Not now. But the sound lingers, bouncing between the walls in the quiet kitchen. I look around, trying to find something, anything, to ground myself. The counter is clear. The chair is pushed in. The window shows only the empty street. And yet I feel the weight of being watched. The sensation crawls along my skin, subtle at first, then sharper, like a faint electric pulse across my forearm. I swallow hard, and the taste of fries turns bitter in my mouth. I set the tray down carefully, listening. The knock doesn't come again. Only the faint hum, the distant cars outside, and my own uneven breathing. But now something has shifted. The comfort I found in routine, in repetition, has thinned, leaving a small crack, a tiny opening where doubt can seep in. I sit back and close my eyes for a moment. My stomach churns. My fingers twitch, wanting to reach for the food again. I feel a hesitation, a pause I've never noticed before. Something is slightly off, but I can't put my finger on it. I tell myself to ignore it, to continue. That if I stop, I might notice even more. And noticing is dangerous. The hum from the refrigerator seems louder now, almost rhythmic, like it's keeping time with my heartbeat. I notice the subtle shift in light as the neon signs outside blink in a slow, irregular pattern. The shadows on the floor stretch differently with each flicker, thin and sharp. My stomach twists. My fingers tremble slightly, but I reach again, compulsively, for another fry. I chew slowly this time, more aware. I feel the texture, the warmth, the way the salt clings to the roof of my mouth. Each bite feels heavier than the last, not just physically, but in some intangible way. My mind tries to rationalize it. I'm just hungry. I just need one more bite. I'll stop after this one. And yet, even as I say it to myself, the thought passes too quickly. My hand is already moving, following a path I no longer choose. There is a quiet insistence in the room now, in the subtle sounds, in the light, in the tray in front of me. It's patient, unhurried, yet impossible to ignore. I take another sip of soda. The fizz hisses, louder this time. My stomach twists again. I feel it, not just the nausea, but the creeping sense that something small, unnoticed, has changed. That something I can't yet name has begun. And once it starts, I know I won't be able to undo it. I glance at the tray. The food is the same as always, but the routine feels different. The repetition, once comforting, now feels like a trap. I am aware, faintly, of the moment when choice slipped away. And I continue to eat, slowly, mechanically, because the alternative, stopping, questioning, is something I am not ready to face. The next night, I find myself driving to the same McDonald's again. The city is quiet, but not empty. Street lights flicker intermittently, casting uneven patches of yellow on the asphalt. The hum of distant traffic mixes with the soft, almost imperceptible buzz of the neon signs. I park in the same spot I always choose. The tires crunch lightly on the gravel. I sit for a moment longer than usual, listening. The air feels heavier this time, thick with the smell of exhaust and something else, something faintly metallic, almost like copper. I tell myself I'm imagining it, that it's nothing. Inside, the glow from the overhead lights is steady, yet my eyes catch the flicker again. Shadows bend strangely in the corners. I notice the same details as before. The paper wrappers, the condensation on the soda cups, the slight crease in the tray liner. They're the same, unchanged, yet somehow different. The familiarity feels like a weight pressing down. I order the same thing. Extra fries, extra nuggets, a larger drink than I should have. The voice at the counter doesn't vary, monotone, polite. I notice my name printed on the receipt almost immediately. I pause. The letters seem sharper, more deliberate than last time. My thumb traces over them, but the sensation is hollow. I swallow hard and pocket the receipt, forcing myself to ignore the sudden shiver running down my spine. I sit in the corner, away from the few other customers. The room hums around me. I hear the soft scrape of chairs, the murmur of voices, the clink of cutlery. Everything repeats in a predictable rhythm, like a clock winding itself down. I eat slowly, feeling each bite, each sip, each bite again, the same as always. And yet, something is off. The repetition is unmistakable. Every night I come, every night I eat the same things, in the same order, the same gestures, and yet each time, the subtle sounds, the soft scrape of the floor, the hum from the lights, the almost imperceptible vibration of the walls, feel synchronized to me. They respond to me. To my hand, to my bite, to my sip. I try to tell myself it's nothing, that I'm overthinking it, that the world is predictable and I am just noticing patterns. But I cannot ignore the way the shadows stretch differently when I pause. The way the air seems to thicken when I look at the tray. The way the taste, though identical, lingers longer in my mouth, heavier, almost accusatory. I notice the cashier glances up at me once. A brief, imperceptible look. I can't read it, but I feel it. A weight pressing across the room, subtle and cold. I turn my gaze to my food, forcing myself to eat another fry. Then another nugget. Each bite becomes mechanical. I feel the ritual taking over, a current under my skin pulling me forward. Outside, the neon light flickers again. I notice it reflects in the window beside me, and for a brief moment, it seems to pulse with the same rhythm as my heartbeat. I freeze, unsure if I imagined it. Then I shake my head and continue. Another fry. Another sip. My stomach churns faintly, a quiet warning that I ignore. I notice the sound of the doors opening and closing. A small bell rings. A customer leaves. Another enters. And yet, nothing changes. Everything is in its place. The world outside seems to move, but inside, I am trapped in a loop, repeating the same actions, noticing the same things, the same patterns, the same subtle dissonances that make the room feel smaller, heavier, more insistent. I realize that the ritual itself has begun to dictate my behavior. My hands move almost without thought. My eyes follow the tray, the wrappers, the condensation. My lips taste, chew, swallow, over and over. The subtle signs, the hum, the flicker, the soft scrape, tell me I must continue. And I do, because stopping, thinking too much, questioning, feels impossible. The receipts pile up beside me. Each one bears my name, the date, the exact same order. I touch them, feeling the faint warmth of the paper, and a strange weight presses against my chest. The pattern is undeniable. I am following it. I am part of it. And I cannot step out. By the end, I sit back, hands resting on the tray. I notice my heartbeat, irregular now, racing subtly. I notice the faint sour taste in my mouth. I notice the cold light of the neon flicker, long shadows bending where they shouldn't. I realize, this is no longer about hunger. This is no longer about choice. I do not know when it began, but I understand it now. Something has marked me. Something follows me in rhythm, in pattern, in every bite, every sip, every repeated gesture. And it will not let go. I drive home slowly, leaving the glow of the McDonald's behind, but it lingers in my mind, heavier than the night itself. The streets are empty, but the neon light seems to cling to my vision, reflecting in every window, every puddle, every shiny surface I pass. I keep glancing at the passenger seat as if someone might be there, though I know it's empty. Still, the feeling persists. I wonder why I cannot stop. why I keep ordering extra, even when my stomach protests, even when the taste begins to turn on me. Every bite feels heavier than the last, yet I cannot halt the motion. My hand moves to the gear shift automatically. My eyes trace the lines of the road, but I feel disconnected, as though I am not fully present. I think about the receipt, each one a silent witness, bearing my name, my choices, my repeated ritual. I try to convince myself it's coincidence, a quirk of memory, some trick of habit. But the weight in my chest argues otherwise. Each receipt is too precise, too deliberate. I remember feeling the warmth of the paper in my fingers, the way the letters seem to press back like they are aware. I reach home and step inside. The apartment smells faintly of the air conditioner, of old wood, of nothing in particular, but it feels alien tonight. I place the receipt on the counter and stare at it. The ink is sharp, almost pointed. I run my thumb over my name again. The letters feel like an imprint, a mark I cannot remove. I try to tell myself I am imagining it, that I am overthinking a habit that has become automatic. But the more I reason, the less certain I feel. My stomach churns again, though I am not hungry. My hands twitch as if waiting for instructions, for permission to move, to eat, to obey. I walk to the kitchen and stare at the cabinet. They are empty in their usual way. The fridge hums softly. I hear the clock ticking in the living room, each second echoing unnaturally loud. I try to distract myself, turning on the TV, scrolling my phone, but the pattern follows. The glow of the screen seems measured, deliberate. The ads, the clicks, even the background music feel synchronized with my heartbeat. I sit at the table. My fingers drum lightly on the wood. I imagine myself stopping, choosing nothing, refusing to eat. And immediately, a pressure rises in my chest, subtle at first, then insistent. The thought of not continuing feels unbearable, though I cannot explain why. I remember other nights, empty nights where I ordered, ate, repeated, and the same feeling had been there, faint and vague. I thought it was habit. Now I realize it was more than that. Something had been embedding itself, quietly, insidiously, shaping my actions before I even noticed. I close my eyes for a moment, trying to breathe, trying to tell myself I am safe, but the receipts pile up in my mind. The lights, the hum, the subtle scrape of chairs in the restaurant, they are never gone. They follow me, inside my mind, inside my body, inside the rhythm of my daily life. I wonder if I am losing control, or if I never had it. The more I think, the more impossible it becomes to separate choice from compulsion. I remember the taste, always the taste, identical, overwhelming, lingering long after swallowing. I remember the way my hands moved on their own. The pattern repeats in my head, like a mantra, like a heartbeat, like a warning I cannot name. I sit back in my chair and feel the quiet settle over me. I can hear the city outside, faintly, the occasional car, the distant siren, but it feels irrelevant, separate. All that matters is the cycle I am trapped in, the pattern I cannot break, the compulsive ritual that I both follow and fear. I wonder how long it will continue. Tonight, tomorrow, always? The thought presses against me harder than hunger ever could. And still, I do nothing, because action seems impossible. Because the pattern has already taken me, quiet and unyielding, and I am bound to it whether I acknowledge it or not. I sip water slowly, the cool liquid doing nothing to soothe the weight inside. The receipts wait silently on the counter, patient, knowing. My fingers twitch again, almost imperceptibly, but enough for me to notice. I feel the inevitability pressing down, the quiet certainty that this is not a habit I can break. And I realize, whatever I do, whatever choice I think I have, the repetition will continue. It has already begun. I stand in the kitchen, staring at the counter, at the neat stack of receipts. Each one a small echo of the same motion, the same ritual. My fingers twitch, restless. I think I can resist tonight. I think I can set it aside, forget it, do nothing. But then my hand moves before I realize it. Slowly, deliberately, almost automatically, I reach for my phone. I scroll through the delivery app. The interface is familiar, comforting in its predictability. I don't need to think. I already know what I'll order. Extra, always extra. The smell of the city night drifts through the open window, faint exhaust, damp asphalt, the distant sizzle of a fryer somewhere else. It should be distracting. It should remind me there is life beyond this apartment. But it doesn't. The outside feels muted, distant, as if I am observing it through glass. I place the order. Small taps, soft clicks on the screen. I read the confirmation aloud, quietly, as if speaking it could anchor me. Extra fries. Extra sauce. Meal for me. My voice is low, matter of fact, but even I hear the hesitation beneath it, the thin thread of doubt. The app confirms. Delivery in 20 minutes. I put the phone down and the silence returns. It is heavier now, almost tactile. The faint hum of the fridge, the ticking clock, the occasional car outside, it all presses closer. I sit at the table, hands folded, waiting, and feel my heartbeat slow. Or maybe it accelerates. I cannot tell anymore. I tell myself it's just one night. One meal. I can stop tomorrow. I can resist then. Rational thought tries to surface, but it feels sluggish, muffled. I feel a pull toward the next step, toward repetition, toward continuation. My stomach protests faintly, a dull throb, but my hands rest on the edge of the table, steady. The apartment grows quieter. The shadows stretch along the walls, thin and precise, responding to the faint streetlights outside. I hear nothing unusual, but everything feels slightly off. I imagine the receipts leaning against each other, watching, patient. I imagine the glow of the delivery app continuing, following me wherever I go, reminding me, nudging me forward. I try to imagine saying no, but the thought falters. It is too abstract, too distant. The movement of my body feels preordained, inevitable. I am here, at the table, waiting, and in this stillness, I feel the weight of every past choice, every extra order, every repetition. I feel them layering, pressing down, a rhythm I cannot stop. The doorbell rings. Soft, polite, mundane. I rise slowly, each step deliberate, aware of the silence between each. The floor creaks lightly beneath my feet. I open the door, take the bag, and close it behind me. I place it on the counter, unwrap it mechanically, and the smell hits me. Warm, greasy, familiar, suffocating. I sit again. I eat. Each bite tastes the same as always. Each bite confirms the pattern. I swallow, and a dull heaviness settles in my chest, spreading slowly, inevitably. The ritual continues, unbroken, unquestioned, and I know, deep down, it has already taken more from me than I can measure. And in this quiet, mundane act, I realize the truth. Not in a shocking moment, not in a scream or a flash, but in the stillness, in the repetition. I have made the choice, and there is no undoing it. The plate is empty. The wrappers are stacked neatly beside me, though I did not consciously place them. I sit back in the chair, hands resting on my knees, and notice the silence has deepened. It is heavier than before, as if the walls themselves have folded in slightly, closer than they were a moment ago. The smell lingers, faint now, clinging to the corners of the room. It is both comforting and oppressive, a reminder of the act I have just repeated. I feel my stomach churn, not from hunger, not entirely, but from the weight of habit pressing inward. My chest feels tight, though there is no rush of fear, only the quiet insistence of inevitability. I glance at the stack of receipts on the counter. Each one carries my name. Each one a small record of choices I cannot take back. I imagine them multiplying, forming a silent audience, patient, unjudging, relentless. The thought comes and leaves like a shadow passing over a wall. There, then gone, leaving only a lingering tension. The clock ticks steadily. Each second measured, indifferent. I try to focus on it, to count them aloud, to make sense of the rhythm, but the numbers blur together. Time has slowed, stretched, become a presence pressing against my skin. I can feel the passing moments in my bones, in my fingers, in the tight curl of my shoulders. I rise and walk to the window. Outside, the city lights glow steadily, unchanging. The streets seem empty, but I know people move beneath the lamplight, walking the same paths, following the same patterns, repeating their small rituals. I wonder if they, too, feel the same silent pressure, the same quiet weight. The thought is distant, abstract. It does not comfort me. I return to the table. The silence follows, settling over me like a thick cloth. I reach for a new wrapper, a new utensil, though there is nothing left. My hand hovers, then falls, resting on the edge of the table. My eyes drift to the receipts again. They lie flat, but I can almost feel their presence, the accumulation of every choice, every repetition. I think about tomorrow. I think about the next order. The thought is automatic, inevitable. I will rise. I will repeat. The rhythm is established. The pattern is mine to follow, though I cannot remember when it truly began. There is no shock, no sudden horror, no scream to break the quiet. Only the slow, unbroken continuation of the act. I breathe in slowly. The room smells faintly of fried food and plastic, a mixture that has become the background of my existence. My lungs fill and empty. Each breath confirms the reality I have chosen, or perhaps the reality that chose me. It is unalterable. I sit. I do not move. The minutes pass. The night stretches on, steady and unchanging. Outside, the lights of the city blink, indifferent to my presence, indifferent to me. Inside, the silence presses, comforting and cruel at once. And then I notice it, the faintest sense of expectation, lingering just at the edge of perception. A quiet insistence that the ritual is not finished, that the pattern continues, that I cannot leave it undone. I do not resist. I do not move. I sit. The room settles. The shadows remain. The receipts lie flat. And in the quiet, I feel the weight of all choices pressing down, heavy and certain. I do not speak. I do not eat. I do not rise. And yet I cannot leave. The silence holds me. And I am still.